Welcome, everyone. Today we are going to talk about DeFi Llama. DeFi Llama is one of my favorite ways to do research and one of my favorite platforms to find a lot of information when I'm looking for all that on chain stuff that is crucial for not getting wrecked in crypto. So, we're going to be breaking down what they've been doing on this platform because it's a free platform that anyone can use out there. And there's just so much information packed in here that anyone can use. So we're going to be breaking this down and covering what can interest you so you can stop getting wrecked out there. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, here is DeFi Llama. This is the landing page, and this is what they started with essentially, where you could see TVL, total value locked. You could kind of get a general idea of how much money was on different platforms. And this was really useful because, well, you could see the biggest growing protocols. You can filter them by chain. So, for example, we can go to Arbitrum and filter all the protocols that are on Arbitrum. Right now, the biggest protocol on Arbitrum is GMX with a TVL of 391. We can see how much Arbitrum has grown. It blew up to almost 2.6 billion back in November, but it's been struggling and it reached a low in July, but has been creeping back up since then, hovering right below a billion. So we can kind of get all this really great information. We can see the dominance of GMX on Arbitrum. 40% of the total value locked is in GMX. And what is after that? Well, we can see it's Uniswap, Stargate, Curve. That is information very valuable to kind of see what is happening on Arbitrum, where is the money flowing, and are these protocols safe? Well, it gives you an idea of whether the public is trusting these protocols with their money. If we can see that there's a lot of money in certain protocols, we can also confirm that, well, people are trusting these protocols with their money. We can go to other chains as well. We can check Optimism. We can see that Aave is the biggest on Optimism. Velodrome is number three. The Aave dominance on Optimism is much bigger than the GMX dominance, which is quite interesting to see because, well, it shows that most of the money on Optimism is actually on Aave. And you can kind of track where the money is. Are these chains going to struggle? Even though these are layer twos, we can actually use this for something like a layer one. So if we go to Avalanche, we can see that again, most of the money on Avalanche is on Aave. And Aave has almost 43% of the total value locked on Avalanche. Avalanche reached a huge high of almost 10 billion of value on their chain, but has been really struggling to keep the money when the incentives dried up on Avalanche. But, well, they have a lot of other protocols that have been doing quite well. You got Benki, Trader Joe, and Platypus, in the top 4 or 5. Stargate again in the top 5. That cross chain, it just shows how much people want to use the cross chain side of these applications. But again, only 90 million on Avalanche, where Aave really takes the toll, really takes most of that value locked. Now, we can just review absolutely all of them and we can get a good idea of where the money is in crypto. We can see that Maker has most of that money with 14% dominance. Now, comparing all of crypto, we can see that there isn't one chain or one protocol that has most of the value. Well, okay, there is one chain, that's of course Ethereum, but we can see that there isn't one protocol that controls all of the value. So if we actually go to the next tab on chains, we can see the difference between all the different chains and the value that is dispersed between different chains. We can see that most of the value in crypto is actually on Ethereum with almost 30 billion in value locked. Next is Tron and Binance. And then it really starts getting lower and lower as you got the following with Avalanche, Polygon, Arbitrum, which are essentially Polygon, Arbitrum, and Optimism are really just Ethereum because they're scaling solutions for Ethereum. So it's quite interesting to see how even those account for another maybe 6% of the total value, which would really bring Ethereum closer to 65% of the total value locked in crypto overall. So again, it's interesting to watch total value locked, but there's a lot more that you can actually do on DeFi Llama, which is what I love. I really like looking at market cap to TVL ratio because it gives you an idea of, well, which protocols are the ones that have the biggest disparity between all the value that is on that protocol being used and the total market cap of that token. So, for example, something like Optimism is undervalued relative to the money that is on that chain. However, as we know, Optimism is a layer two. So maybe we go to something like Tron. Tron is valued at 1 to 1, which means for every token or every asset that is on Tron locked or active in the Tron ecosystem, it matches with the market cap of the Tron token. Again, you can say if you like Tron or not. His Excellency Justin Sun might say you should, but maybe you like Ethereum more. Well, Ethereum's market cap is 5 times higher than the total value locked on Ethereum. So that's something to consider. If you start getting these huge discrepancies, like maybe Solana, which is almost 12 times difference, it just shows that there isn't enough action on the chain for the actual valuation it has. So it's something to consider that's rather interesting. Let's keep going through DeFi Llama because there's really just so much we can learn and go through on this amazing site. Next is airdrops on the list. And this is a really interesting list of all the tokenless protocols that may do an airdrop. So this is a list of all the different protocols that have launched that don't yet have a token. So if you participate in them, you can often qualify to receive an airdrop down the line. So you can kind of go through all the different tokens, see what's happening. If you saw my Arbitrum video, I talked about Rage Trade. Maybe it's worth participating there to get a potential airdrop down the line. So that's definitely worth checking out if you're, airdrop hunting or looking for something. Next, I do want to talk on languages because languages, again, just highlights the Ethereum dominance because, well, Solidity continues to be the most used language and the most developed language right now. So, this gives us an interesting breakdown of where the developers are going and what language is being used the most. Solidity takes a huge cut of this with what almost 86% of total apps. And that has to do with most chains actually developing EVMs, which are Ethereum virtual machines. And the fact that they have EVMs, well, everyone is developing something like Ethereum to match Ethereum. So it shows generally where the innovation is, where people are going to. And if you are a new programmer, you can kind of see, well, where might you have more space or more room to grow? If you think that there's too much competition in Solidity, well, maybe you can consider something like Viper or Rust, where it's smaller, but it's still worth your time and effort because of the total value that is in those languages. Now, let's keep going on DeFi Llama because there's just really so much. Next is yields. Yields, well, if you do any type of farming in crypto, you can get a good idea of how much you can earn in crypto. So if we click here on the ETH Lido pool, we can see that the total APY is 5.10%, total value locked is 5.7 billion, and they have a really cool algorithm that can actually predict if the current APY will fall below a certain amount. So within the next 4 weeks, they predict that it will not fall below 4%. So it gives you a good idea of how long your yield can actually realistically last. So it actually breaks down the base rewards or the base payment that you're getting for that liquidity versus actual rewards. So this is the staked ETH pool. But if we actually go to something that might be maybe more volatile, let's go. We can actually filter really well by APY. And let's filter by APY, and we can see these crazy APYs. So let's try, for example, this Metis wrapped ETH pool. And we can see that the APY is just ridiculously high. So the algorithm predicts that the current APY of this much will fall below within the next 4 weeks. So it's quite confident that these rewards are not sustainable. So even if you enter these pools, it tells you, like, yeah, this is not sustainable and it's not realistic that you're actually getting such high rewards on these base pays. But if we actually go to something, we can go back and try to find something that doesn't have a base pay, it has a reward pay, and then it can get quite interesting. For example, let's check out this OpenX and wrapped Bitcoin pool. And we can see that most of the rewards in this pool are actually completely protocol rewards. There is very little rewards on the base. And the base is actually how much it's getting used and how much real yield you're getting. So if you're looking to do some yield farming, this is a great way to actually break it down. You can check their outlook to see if that is even sustainable, and if it is or not, and you can get a good idea if, like, within the next 4 weeks it's going to fall. And here, as it shows, it's likely to fall below this next number from 900 to 700 within the next 4 weeks, simply because it's not sustainable and it's highly all based on rewards. So I really love what DeFi Llama has done with these pools and how you can actually check those out. Now, we can actually look at the optimizer, which is really cool. So you can give a token to use as collateral and a token to borrow, and the calculator will work kind of like a sky scanner or 1inch, where it gives you the best route for your best possible borrow. So, for example, say I have a lot of Ethereum and I want to borrow some USDC because I want to be able to do something in DeFi or pay. So I click on those two, and then it gives me the best routes to borrow Ethereum. So to borrow USDC with Ethereum. So it gives me not only how much is available for me to borrow, it gives me the total cost, or the net APR. So the net supply APR and then the borrow APR. And you can really break down kind of how much you can borrow and how safe it would realistically be, as well as how much it would realistically cost you. So right now it looks like using Ethereum to borrow USDC on Aave B2 on Ethereum chain, it would only cost me minus 6 0.6%. 0.6%. So that's pretty low, but if we actually scroll down, we can see that on Optimism, because of some supply APR and special boosts, we are actually earning 0.4% for borrowing. Now, if you go to something like Euler, it looks like we're earning 3% for borrowing stables against Ethereum. Now we can keep going and find, of course, all the different options, something like Geist Finance, who pays really high rewards, and how that would work. We can click on that option and see, hey, what is happening here? I want to learn more about this. We can go to Geist Finance and see what is going on in that protocol. But lending optimizer is just a great way to find if you're trying to borrow some money in DeFi. So this is a really cool way of kind of finding all these things. And next, I do want to talk about liquidations, because if people are, of course, borrowing, well, people can get liquidated, and most of the time, well, liquidations are not easy to find. You have to pay many protocols to actually find these numbers, and DeFi Llama is doing it for free, which is just awesome. So here we can see liquidation levels for Ethereum. We can see that if Ethereum reaches $770, there's almost 100 million that can be liquidated on MakerDAO. And we can actually filter by that. We can filter by the amount within 20% move. So on Compound, it looks like there's 35 million within a 20% move. So let's try to see what that would be. It looks like right here, maybe not here. Maybe it looks like it's this one. Yep. If Ethereum reaches $30, there is 23 million on compound that can be liquidated. That is a 20% mover within a 20% move. And of course, there's some more over here. There's almost a million here. There's another couple 100,000, another couple 100,000. But really, that big liquidation level is over here on compound at 1,100 ETH. And if we go lower at 1,030, there's 23 million. So we can kind of find all these different levels of what might be relevant. And why do you want to know when people can get liquidated? Well, it's really important to find if people are over leveraged and there's a lot of issues that, or if there's a big move, you want to see if that move is going to continue going down or if you can actually buy the dip. Because if there's these big liquidation levels, well, that dip might keep on dipping. So we can actually find on Bitcoin, for example, there's a huge liquidation level in DeFi on both Aave and MakerDAO. Most importantly, MakerDAO, there's almost 67 million that can be liquidated if Ethereum, if Bitcoin reaches 13K, 13.5K. So that's really important to actually know because, well, that's a lot of money that can be liquidated. Again, we can filter by what's within a 20% range. And we can see that on compound, actually, there's 25 million that can be liquidated within a 20% range. And that's really close. Like today, October 13th, because of the CPI data, Bitcoin dumped to almost 18K. And if it would have kept going, not by very much, almost another 5-10% move, it would have started to inch on these levels. And that's 13 million on compound that could have got liquidated. So this is an incredible tool that you can find. You can check it every couple of days and really get an idea of how healthy is the market, how close are we to these liquidation levels, what's going on. So let's keep going because there's just so much, and I'm really just scratching the surface on what you can do with DeFi Llama. We can check out the dexes and we can look at the overview of all the exchanges. We can see like what are people using, and we can actually see the total volume here, which is amazing. And we can see certain spikes on exchanges, and well, of course, Uniswap is the winner here. The total volume on Uniswap is just ginormous. They are currently on Ethereum, Optimism, Arbitrum, and Polygon, and they've really just taken, well, the biggest market share in terms of the biggest deck. So you really got to hand it to them, but you can kind of track that here. And if there's any up and comers, for example, this Jupiter aggregator on Solana has really been growing lately. Dodo has also been really getting a good amount of volume. Even PancakeSwap still gets good volume, but you can actually see, hey, why is there a 30% increase on PancakeSwap in the last day? Well, maybe there's a new token that's getting exchanged. Maybe there's something happening, or Osmosis got a 81% increase in the last day. Well, maybe there is a new token launch and you can go get a piece of that action because that token is getting traded a lot more and you can get exposed to that volatility when the rest of the market might be quite boring. So again, all of these are different signals that you can use to find more information and get better informed. Fees is another one I really like because with fees, you can see if protocols are actually profitable, if they're earning something, and we can actually check the revenue in the past 24 hours. So, for example, let's see who has earned the most fees in the past 24 hours. Of course, that's Ethereum as a chain, but if we filter by category, we can get maybe something different. Well, synthetics and GMX are the ones that earn the most fees in the past 24 hours. And they are both derivative exchanges, which is really interesting to see because, well, they are earning the most and it shows that they're relatively profitable as companies. LooksRare is another one that's been earning fees really well. Lido, PancakeSwap. And it's really interesting to track this because you can get an idea of what protocols are simply not cutting it. Maybe Uniswap didn't earn any fees, or Osmosis, Pangolin on, I believe it's on Avalanche, has only earned 2,000 in fees, where something like Synthetics has earned almost 10 times that, almost at 200K. So it's quite interesting. I wish that they soon can add in the fees something like historical fees or total revenue, but we can see kind of the daily, the 24-hour fees, how they've been doing. We can see how they've had a total revenue back in September 22nd of almost 300,000, and it's been dropping off. But hopefully, DeFi Llama can later add a cumulative or a total historical fees. Now, the last one I do want to touch is on raises, because a lot of people actually miss out on this and don't know kind of what valuation some of these protocols are getting, because a lot of these protocols still raise money and they of course get valued at certain prices. So we can actually see on what date this happened. So Uniswap Labs raised 165 million on, looks like today, at a valuation of 1.6 billion. And we can see all the different investors, we can see their sector. So that's really interesting if you want to get an idea of who's raising money, how much they're raising, and when did they raise. So we can actually filter by biggest valuation. And we can see FTX raised on January 31st, 2022. They raised a 400 million Series C with a 32 billion valuation. So these are just crazy valuations. These are crazy numbers on what they are valued at. Like Citadel Securities raised 1.1 billion at a 22 billion valuation. But of course, they're a trading Sequoia, like their lead investor Sequoia Capital. They're kind of an investment firm, so it's a little different. But if we go to something like Yuga Labs, well, their seed round was at a 4 billion valuation, and they raised 450 million. So 450 million can really take you a long way, especially during these times. And it kind of shows that if they manage that treasury correctly, they can really just outlast a lot of the competition with those kind of raises. Again, we can keep going. We have stuff like Uniswap that seems like they raised a Series B today. So, hey, you're getting that alpha straight up on DeFi Llama. Who knew that we could just find it just like that, which is quite interesting. We can see Magic Eden, another NFT marketplace. They raised a Series B, 130 million. These numbers are crazy considering we're in a bear market. This was back in June 22nd. People thought everything was crashing, it was all going down, and well, they're still raising 130 million at a 1.6 billion valuation. So looking at, if we just focus on dates, you can get an idea of like, is the market really that bad? Where's the money going? A lot of that money is going into these seeds, Series B, Series A, these early investments from big hedge funds. You got Jump Capital, Dragonfly, Coinbase Ventures. All of these really big players are still investing, still looking. So maybe this is a way to find new gems out there that you don't yet know about. Like NXYZ is a blockchain. Um, let's see, blockchain identifier. I'm not sure. Paradigm. So Crypto Bank, Mindplex. They raised 100 million. We don't know at what valuation they raised that. You got something like a game company here, Elizo raised 2 million. So it can give you a different idea of where the money is going, what type of sectors. You can actually filter by sector, you can filter by investor. So let's say you think that the future is going to be asset tokenization. So you clear everything and then you pick asset tokenization because you think, for example, that houses on the metaverse or tokens of houses are going to be the way to go. So you find Koi Banks that did a 22 million raise, Series A on Algorand. Well, maybe not on Algorand, but the lead investor was Algorand. So it gives you an idea of like where to start hunting, where to be looking out. So again, DeFi Llama just has a depth of tools that you can use. There's just so much information here, and I have gone on for a while. If you guys have questions, check out the Burb Nest. I post a lot more information in there. I will be making a thread later, so check that out. If you are not in the bird nest, check the link. We're going to give you a 7-day trial so you can actually see all the incredible info in there. DeFi Llama, I mean, shout out to you guys. All this information is free out there. Just look up DeFiLlama.com. It's free. You can find all this incredible info online for free, which is just great. So thanks everyone for coming, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.